All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters over at Patreon. This is Pastor Dow, and this is
Mama Nelly.
Mama Nelly. All right, often y'all hear me in videos, and y'all probably seen over the years, you've seen videos with myself and Mom Nelly in it. And so, what we're going to do here today is we're going to speak about a subject that would actually help bring Israel more online and more. I would say more solid as a family unit, okay? All right, remember the camera's right here. I often look right here, but I do the same thing all the time. Okay, so what we're speaking about is the patriarchal authority, headship, blase, blase. You hear me on with Mother Carol. You hear me sometimes on with Sister Summer on Facebook. But what we're going to try to do is speak to the conscious and speak to the minds of our people who love Yah, who love the scriptures, love the Bible, and who love the biblical family structure. We were having a discussion this morning, and I thought it was a pretty healthy discussion, because in this world, rather than people know how to provide the right answers when asked questions. The difficulty comes is when people that know how to provide the answers, but they don't know how to live it. That's the trouble we're running in today. So, our discussion with something like this, and we thought we'd share it with you this morning because we think it's pertinent information in order to make families stronger. All right, the first thing is that, okay, we're going to be talking about biblical families. All right, we're going to talk about biblical families. And then speaking about biblical families, it's obvious in a monogamous society that it's a whole lot easier for a man to be married to one Ishiah than it is two. Because now his time and everything about his life has to be managed between the two. All right. And if he gets three Ishayas, now his time is even that much more divided amongst them and has to be that much more managed. Okay. Now, some people say because of the difficulty of having more than one would cause people to have problems and troubles and issues and stuff, but that's not the stipulation here. Just because you have troubles, and issues. So, all right, so we're asking Mama Nelly, and we're asking the question for him. And I like preferences, all of this with reality. But before I get started there, remember, the happiness of the family starts with who, Mama Nelly?
The man.
It starts with the man. And the reason why it starts with the man is because the Bible says that the desire of the woman should be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. But we live in a society where people, they always try to flip that script and try to make the man bend over damn near backwards in order to try to make a woman happy, which you know just as well as I do, and no pun intended, and I'm not throwing sharp darts or arrows or anything. I'm just telling the flat out truth. With so many digressions and so many mental changes going on and thought patterns and stuff, it's very difficult to make a woman happy. You can actually appease her by buying her something or giving her something over here. Within a few days later, she's back off the apple cart again, and she's disgruntled about something else or something, irritated about something else or something is just not right. Am I stating a fact or am I just throwing darts?
Facts.
Okay. Now, the whole purpose is because this is about headship, rulership, patriarchal. And so rather than man being centered and focused on like this monogamous society in this world, the old slogan, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, it's the other way around, because you look at us. If the father ain't happy and we're the bride, then ain't nobody happy, because he has the ability to not only to bring judgment upon us, to use demonic spirits to whoop us whenever we get out of order. He has all of that, but he also has the ability to give us love, joy, peace, and happiness when we are obedient to him. So the way things should be is that the woman, the wife, the Ashah, should be seeking for the happiness of the man rather than a man seeking for the happiness of the woman. And if you try to flip any of that, it's going to be a dysfunctional home in every way, aspect possible. It's just simply going to be that way. And I'll be the first to tell you That it's like you're bending iron bars when you're trying to change this mindset from a society where you have been reared in all of your life. But it can be done. It literally can be done. If you love Yah, love the scriptures, and love the Bible and his order of things. So the truth is that the desire of the woman should be to the man. And whatever that man desires, that is what should make her happy. And if you have anything outside of that, I would say you're a candidate for deliverance. And I would say as a man, you need to do deliverance. And another problem and issue and trouble is that anytime we're trying to reinvent the wheel, anytime we're trying to insert our own logic and reasoning and trying to make those so-called scriptures better, we always end up messing up. We just do. So let's go back over to the family structure again. So Mama Nellie has had three siblings, 3 children. And Mama Nellie was, I'm sure, having one child. When you had Erica, it was a life was going good. While it did change everything because it's no longer you, now it's somebody else involved. Life wasn't harder, but you come to find out that your focus and your attentions and everything else is now centered upon this child. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, all of a sudden, child number 2 comes in. Ariel. All right, so now you have Ariel and you have Erica. While life wasn't as hard, it became more difficult. Can you tell us why it became more difficult?
My attention was being divided between the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Having just Erica, I was able to pour more into her.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to establish a pattern as the day went by of how I wanted to rear her, and it was just easier. It was something that I would do. It was fun. We would just spend a lot of time, just her and I, doing things together. Once Ariel came about, him being a baby, and she's already 3, and she's already expecting time from me, it became a little bit overwhelming at times because he's a baby. I'm nursing him. She needs my attention. I'm trying to also cook and clean, and I had to learn how to really divide my time between the both of them without neglecting one or the other. Because although he needed me more because he was the newborn, I couldn't neglect the fact that she still needed me to impart in her, and her rearing at that time became more not stressful, but it did bring about a lot of concerns for me because I wanted her to learn how to read and write, and there was just other things that I had to educate her in, so my time became more thin for me. So I was being forgotten a lot, but that's one thing that us moms, we have to do, and we're not rewarded for it. Our children, they just take.
Right.
They just take from us. But in doing so, I learned how to balance myself.
Okay, so life was pretty manageable with 1.
Yes.
When 2 came, it's still manageable. It could be done, but it made a little bit more difficult because you had many adjustments that you had to make.
Yes.
Okay. Preference that the same way with a man with more than 1 and Shia. Oh, it's easy when you have just 1 to basically manage and tend to, because the truth is, family is a business. It really truly is. Because the sole purpose of a man having more than 1 and Shia, or wives joining up with 1 man, that is to make sure that the preservation of the home, the preservation of the tribe, and the children themselves are reared and raised in the admonition of the Most High Yah to continue to carry on a righteous seed. That's the reason why the book always wants us to be separate from the peoples of his land, because the influence of the people on his land, it has such a powerful influence on us because our flesh genders towards the world. So now, she had 1, she had 2, then comes Gabriel, number 3. All right, you're still 1 is Shia, 1 wife. And now you have 3 souls to tend to care, and to manage. Um, the difficulty level and the bar of it just got finished being raised even more. So is that correct? And how so?
Yes, sir. When Gabriel came around, Ariel was still pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
He they're not that far apart from each other. So now I'm having Erica's 5, Ariel is almost 2, and I have a newborn. So this baby is needing me. Ariel is still very much in need of me. I'm trying to teach him different things.
Mm-hmm.
He's more demanding of my time. Erica is now going to school. She's in kindergarten. So now I'm running back and forth with 2 babies and grocery store and homeschooling the other 2. I mean, not the other 2, but just Ariel while the baby was extremely young and needing me. So I did find myself at times overwhelmed because I wanted to impart in all of them as much as I could, as much as I did with Erica. I didn't want to deprive them from the same education, the same time, the same attention, the same love. My effort, was out there constantly trying to really be the best mom to rear them with everything that I had in me to pour into them. And I think again, like you kept on stating, the difference between the husband having more than one Ishaya and a mom having more than one child is that it's selfless. We are very selfless when we're giving. And I think a husband is the same way. He just gives, trying to pour, trying to teach, trying to direct his Ishayas to fit his agenda and his lifestyle and his desires. And same thing with a mom. I'm trying to teach my children so they can be like I am, have the same mindset, the same perspective of life as I have had, with the same values. And so I think that it really does go hand in hand, a mom having more than one child and a man having more than one Ishaya.
So the only way that an Ishaya can really truly, or a woman can really truly look in and actually understand or comprehend why a man would desire more than one, or I'm going to use this term and hope I be pure, manage more than one. It's the same desire as a woman wanting more than one child.
Yes.
And the needs are pretty much the same, because what I heard you say is that you're pretty selfless. You are tending to them the whole entire time, and you know better what they need than they themselves.
Yes.
And of course, we're maybe 6 years apart, something like that.
Yes.
So we pretty much grew up in the same generation. So watch this. I'm gonna go back and use an example of Mother Dow. Mother Dow had 3. I'm the oldest, and then she had 2 more behind me. I have 2 younger brothers behind me, and we're all very close in age. As a matter of fact, I think our ages right now is 54, 52, and 51. And then there's a time period to show you how close it is. After April, our ages until September would be 54, 53, 52. So you can tell she had them pretty close. I would watch my mother, and mind you, she retired from the hospital as a nursing technician for over 30 years of service. I would watch my mother get up early in the morning, and I would watch her be the last one to go to bed at night and the first one up every single morning, all the way up until the time I left home when I was 18 years old. And she would make sure our clothes was out. She'll make sure our food was out, or we needed money for lunch if we was going for school. And I'm just talking about just school. I'm talking about what I can remember. I'm not talking about the baby years, the adolescent years, the toddler years, or the infant years, because I can't remember a lot of those. But the women in that generation back then, it was just them. It wasn't anyone assisting them, no one really helping them. The father, chances are, if he was like Dad Dow, he was out early in the morning, gone, and her job never stopped. Her job never stopped. When we got home from school, mother would just be pulling up maybe an hour later from work, where she worked all day long, and she wouldn't miss a beat. She would still cook dinner. She would still help school us. You know, when mother's trying to help children with their homework, she would do that. She would also wash clothes and wash the dishes and get us ready for the next day, and then again be the last one to bed again. I mean, just total sacrifice. I watched the same thing be repeated with Mother Carol. We had two, Chuck and Liddy from them, and she would do the exact same thing. Except this time I made sure I changed things around because I saw the load that my mother had up on her. As a matter of fact, she reminded me a few years ago that I said to her, she said, "Do you remember when you were 12 years old what you said to me?" I said, "No, Mom, I don't." She says, "Mom, don't worry about nothing. I'm going to take care of you." And as faith would have it, these last 20-something years, guess who's been taking care of Mom? I have. And now they still have been able to take care of themselves too, but it's coming full circle because they're getting old now. I watched Carol repeat the same exact thing, except I actually had her at home more than what Mother Dow was, because Mother Dow, she wasn't at home at all. She was too busy working. And Mother Carol, I had her pretty much at home 80% of the time. And then we have you, that this same exact thing. From the time you woke up in the morning till you went to bed at night, you had the same thing. You was pretty much doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm bringing all that up now is because we are living in a time that, you know, this is what they call modern day. Modern day has nothing to do with the old past, because the book teaches us to always seek for the old past and search for them. And when we seek and search for them, we find them, we'll find rest for our souls. Okay? So I said all that to say this. Family is a business. So let's just say that our family structure is just one business. All right? If you have a small business and you start off with one employee, it's a hell of a lot easier to manage that business with one employee. But if you start growing the business, and as a business grows, it becomes a little bit more time consuming and a little bit more difficult to manage. And pretty soon you're going to have to employ other people to help with the business. Same with the family. You have one a child, two comes in, three comes in. Next thing you know, you have children involved. When the children involved, they're getting older. Children are still coming in. The family business is growing. And so it's a hell of a lot easier just to have that one and that concept of that one. But when we look at the family, the biblical structure of Abraham, we look at it of Moses, and we look at it of David, and we look at it of Joshua and Jacob. Hannah, I can go on and on and on with the names. Y'all know the deal, okay? But that is our culture, and that is our family structure. It wasn't until if people really truly get into it, that this society try to force monogamy upon a particular people. And in this forced monogamy, while they themselves practice serial polygyny, which is divorce, remarriage, divorce, remarriage, divorce, remarriage, divorce, remarriage, because you don't never know what's really truly going to take place. You don't never know if somebody's going to go rogue in life and stuff and not continue to keep with their end of the bargain or the deal or whatever way you want to say it. But the way I see it is if we're going to continue to develop strong families, we're going to have to understand the biblical concept of things. We can't add to or take away. If anything, we can only get better and continue to keep getting better. So now we are in another process of life, okay, which you'll be more better suited for this to talk about it than I myself. And you can also tell how each one of us function at this particular time. We just had a brand new addition to the family, little Hezekiah. This little addition, now he's, let me see, well, how old is Gabriel? He's the youngest.
He's 19.
Okay, so he's 19 years from Gabriel.
Yeah.
And he's 30 years away from Lydia, the two youngest coming from two Ashais, okay? So Here we are on the other side of the spectrum now. We've been young, now we're old. And now I have a youngest child who just, and I'm old, and has a brand new, beautiful little son that's just done come into the family now. So speak to the families out there, your experience, what you see, and what all we all have had to do and what we all have learned about ourselves since Hezekiah has been the new addition to the family.
Having a baby around, it's always a blessing. It's like they do bring about like a sense of life, joy, excitement. Um, it really does motivate you in so many different ways, especially because we already been there, done that. So now raising another baby with the wisdom, the knowledge, all the know-hows that we have and acquired throughout the years, it's truly a blessing to know that we're going to be able to pour so much more into this new life. Um, but we are an amazing team. Together, we are literally dividing our time um, to all of us spend quality time with Hezekiah. I know he's only 3 months, and we already doing whatever we can to impart into him, to really work together and rearing him um, without being uh, without with being mindful of each other's time, because we have to consider Pastor, and he's busy, but he still takes time to be with him. And then we have to consider the other moms because we're all busy. So we all have like a very good schedule with him, but it has taught us the value of family, the value of having one another. Summer will constantly say, this is a blessing. It's a blessing for her to know that she could get up in the morning and tend to something that is pressing on her day, knowing that Hezekiah is well taken care of, because we all have the same mind. We have Pastor's mind. So whatever the Father has established, we then carry it out. And we all work together to maintain that order. And it works out really well for us.
And I'll give you an example, so that we can understand a little bit more what Mama Nelly is speaking about. We'll talk a little bit about timing and schedule here just for a second. Okay, it's obvious that Summer has the graveyard shift, and that's all night long. And so, because why? He needs to be next to the modular food unit. He has to be next to the milk machine. Okay, so Summer has the graveyard shift, and I pretty much go to bed early, and I get up early because I have a lot of planning to do, i.e., how to run the business for the day, if you understand what I mean. And a lot of times when I get finished with morning devotion, lately I've been actually having to skip morning devotion, because sometime when I get up and sometime I'll go get Hezekiah 3 o'clock in the morning and keep him till like 8 or 9, or 4 o'clock in the morning, keep him to like 7 or 8. It depends on what's going on that day, and sometimes 5. Immediately after that, Mother Carol is up, and Mother Carol, she will begin to tend to him as I start to, because I've already been up spending time with him to get myself ready for the day. About that time, Summer is up, and a lot of times she's up before breakfast and stuff, but it just depends on the variables of the winter time and going outside. If it's really brisk and if it's rainy or muddy or something like that, we don't get him outside because we don't have to. And so Mother Carol would take that part right there, and now you've got all 3 of them up. And then, of course, a little bit after that, Mom Nellie comes into the picture, and the first thing she does is she'll say, greetings, shalom, bless you, love. And the first thing she's doing is automatically looking around to find out where's Hezekiah at. And she goes straight to him, and then that gives Summer time to get ready. And Mother has gone over to her business, and she's already taken care of the church business. Mama Nellie takes care of the online business, the business of the broadcast, and the business of the mail in the actual ministry. Sister Summer takes care of the social media business and helping manage and put my mail and emails together to be able to answer them. And then we sit down and actually go over all the emails that's either coming from YouTube or Facebook or whatever. And in the midst of all this, when one is not busy or one is doing something, somebody else automatically has his Kaya with them, so he's not left unattended. And when he sleep, everybody's getting everything done. Okay, come evening time, Mama Nellie is the one who snatches him up and bathes him. And he just loves taking baths. He loves water. He just loves water. And she's getting him ready, prepared for bedtime and stuff. And then, of course, his mother, all of us is getting ready to get to bed. And a mother's hopefully done got some type of rest in between the day, in between the time. And then we repeat the same routine over again and again and again. So not only has it become a lot easier for Summer, but it's become a lot easier for all of us because he's all of our child. He's all of our baby. And everybody treats him as such. No doubt that. I mean, he literally has three mothers. Literally has three mothers. And they do everything they can backwards to make sure they accommodate him. And it's good for Summer to be able to draw off the experience of Mother Carol and Mom Nellie because they've already been there and done that. And as a father, early on in my life, I was gone a lot all the time and stuff. So now I'm around a whole lot more and I'm able to peer into the intricate workings of motherhood, even more so. At the same time, they do make sure that I have all the time in the world to make sure that I'm running the ministry. Then I have the content creator side of it. And then I have the communities in itself and helping the manage of the communities and planning, process, and building. And then we have the actual physical labor that we do on hand. Then we have the running around, and then we have the shopping. We have the logistics parts of the ministry. There's always something going on, always something going on. The placement and planning of people, and then getting ready for feast days, which we always have to do 2-3 months in advance. We can't just wait till the last minute. We have to have our minds together then. So we thought we'd come on here with this installment right here to say all this, to hopefully give everybody a little bit of insight to how a biblical family should run. Now, mind you, I didn't even get into biblical marriage until I was like, I don't get my numbers wrong and don't even quote me on it. I don't know. I think I was 47, 48, somewhere along in there. But we've also learned after some debates with so-called scholars and so-called pastors or so-called men in their own right, is that it's a subject that's kind of like been mute. Nobody wants to speak about it while everybody else is participating in it. Nobody wants to speak about it nowadays because nobody really truly has answers. We have the answers. We have the experience. There's no book written on how to do a biblical family. We have the blueprint and the guidelines and the rules sitting in front of us with the Bible, but nobody's there teaching you how to do this. This is something we're learning as we go along, and we are truly comprehend and understand that this is a family business. It really, truly is. Not only family business, I don't want to sound tacky and saying business because we're all about our Father's business, but the only way that this business is going to run is the same way that a successful business runs out in the world. Because remember, the children of the world are wiser than the children of light. Unless you have the whole team behind the CEO or the patriarch, it's not going to work. It's just simply not going to work. By right of being able to develop this particular ministry from the ground up, I don't have nobody that I can go to, depend upon. I had nobody to actually help me with the inception of this. I've had people come along and help me in this work. And then we all work together to get a lot of people, names written down in the Lamb's Book of Life to get to the Messiah. But we're hoping that we've been able to give you something here this morning and hope that you all can learn from this and go back and listen to this again. While it is not unlawful for a man to have more than one child, we truly need to, all men and women need to look at where they're at in life and make sure that this is something that they can do, because it's going to take maturity. It's going to take a lot of maturity. It's going to take a lot of wisdom. It's going to take some knowledge and understanding. As I said earlier, I was too young. Even though I've always agreed with this lifestyle, I was too young to participate because I myself personally wouldn't have been able to actually get in and really truly manage a family the way that it should because I was too busy working. Just like I was always gone again, I'm gone now. But now I'm more at home and I'm around than I was in the beginning. So anyway, we hope that the wisdom that Mom Nellie imparted to you, all Ishai's out there, as well as those of you listening, that we said something that would help each and every last one of you. And with that said, we're going to say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
The King is coming. Looking forward to seeing y'all next time.